Alright, today I'm going to show you the POC on exploiting CVE 2021-40444, which is one of the latest vulnerabilities in Microsoft HTML engine that leads to remote code execution, RCE. The vulnerability, it's a very critical vulnerability in the Microsoft HTML web content rendering engine that uses by many Microsoft software, mainly Microsoft Office applications that is used a lot. So in this demonstration, I'm going to be using the Kali Linux and the Metasploit to exploit this flaw. So let's get started. Cool. First of all, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create the DLL payload. Right. Okay, I'm just going to run this command here. So I'm going to use the MSF Venom, which is part of the Metasploit framework, to create the DLL payload, which will be used to create the legitimate documents. Anyway, let's go step by step. First of all, I am going to run this command. So what this command would do is this is the payload. I'll tell you what the switches are. The P is the payload, and this is the directory of where this payload will reside, which is the reverse TCP interpreter payload, and this switch here is a local host, and the local host is just where this is my Kali Linux IP address, and this is the port that my Kali Linux will be listening on. And the F is a format. In MSF Venom, there are several formats today, which are like DLL, XC, Python, PHP, etc., etc. And the format that we are going to be using in this demonstration here is a DLL. So I just select the format there, and the O is the output. So the output of what's the name of the DLL file you want to call. So I'm just call it as a shell.dll. So I'm just going to execute this command now, and we wait for a few seconds. Okay, now we got shell.dll in this directory here, and once we got the payload created, what we have to do is we have to run this Python command line. So this Python script here is part of this POC that I downloaded from the GitHub. I will share out the GitHub link in a minute. So this is the exploit, the Python script. So to use the script, you have to specify the switches, which is the generate. So when you want to generate the documents, so I specify the switch called generate, and where am I going to inject the DLL from. So I'm going to be inject the DLL from this directory here, and that's where we just created in the previous step. And what is the host name, the web server name? So yeah, this is a web server, which is in my Kali Linux box, and I'm going to generate this. So now, once this script has finished running, and the documents.docx has been created under the out directory. So now let's go and have a look under the out directory, and here we can see that document.docx has been created successfully, right? So this is the second step, and the third step is I am going to distribute this documents.docx to the victim machine. So in the real world scenario, you would send this document the docs file via the email or via phishing email or something like that, you know, for the victim to click on it. For this POC scenario here, I am just going to host it on my Kali Linux and download it from the victim file. So okay, so what I'm going to do is I am going to run the Python 3 module command called http.server. What it does is it actually create the temporary the web server on my Kali Linux box and to host the file. So that's what I'm going to do. Let's do that. Python 3 and -m is module and HTTP server 8080. The reason I'm using port 8080 is I just don't want to get conflicted with other ports that I have on my Kali Linux here. So that's why I just use port 8080. So I'm just running this command. So now I'll be hosting this directory here on my temporary web server. So now I'm going to switch it on to my victim machine. Okay, now I'm in my victim machine, and I am going to download that documents that I hosted from my Kali Linux box. So let's get onto it. Right, and I'm just going to go into my Kali Linux box. Alright, I'm going to download this document.docx onto my box. It's okay. Alright, I just download that documents.file. No, my antivirus just okay. Now I download it. It's here. Before I execute this this virus file, I have to do a few things on my Linux box, my Kali box. So I am going to run another command called Python 3. What this command does is running a Python script exploit.py from this directory here, and it hosted the document, the Word documents vulnerability payload on this website here. So I'm going to run that, and once it's run, I can run this one on my victim machine. So I'll run that. So it's running. Okay, let's enable it. So now it's downloading the Word documents and all that stuff. So that's what it's doing, is downloading the Word cap file. The payload is running. However, that's nothing to talk back to my command and control server. So I need to run additional software, which is the Metasploit console, MSF console, to be able to do the reverse shell, etc. Okay, just bear with me. Alright, I'm going to run this MSF console, and once it's started up, and yep, I'm going to use the multi-handler exploit for this scenario here. So there are so many exploit in Metasploit framework, so I'm going to use this exploit multi-handler. Use the multi-handler. By default, multi-handler it will automatically use this payload generic shell reverse TCP, and I'm going to change it because of in the other payload I use the interpreter shell, so I'm going to change that to that. Windows interpreter reverse TCP. Alright, and now show options. So, then I'm going to put a lhost in, which is my Linux, my Kali box. So set lhost right, and let's see, show option. What? Okay, everything is set. Now I'm going to run this exploit in the background. Right, and running in the background, and we can verify that the exploit is running in the background by going by typing in jobs. So you can see that this multi-handler payload is now running in the background. Now I'm going to go into my victim machine and execute that document. So I'm executing this document now, and as we can see, the interpreters shall just open on our CNC machine here. So as soon as the session is being captured by the CNC machine, I just have to go into the session by issue this command here, session-i, and the session ID is called number 1, so I just go into number 1. What I want to do is I want to migrate this interpreter session into a different process. The reason being is if the victim is close these documents, then I won't lose this shell. So right now, if I don't do the migration to a different process, once the victim closes these documents, I lose the shell. So I'm going to do that right now. So to do that, you have to get into the live session and issue this command here, run post and Windows manage migrate. So I'm going to run this command here, the post command here. So what it does is it spawned the notepad.exe on the victim machine and migrate this current interpreter session process into that notepad.exe. That's it. So I can access this machine even the victim closed down the Word documents. So I'm just closing the Word document here, and the session is still there. So I can go shell, and here you go. I have a full access to the victim computer without the victim knowing what's going on in the background. Pretty cool, huh?